No, that's a stupid housewife thing. Not well, bitch.
Is housewife what?
The show, The Housewives, all those series like Housewives of New York, Housewives of New Jersey, and shit like that.
Oh yeah.
One of them, the girl is asked, I think, like, "How are you?" And she just goes, "Not well, bitch."
Oh well, I don't know this meme because I am not up to date on my housewives. Have you watched those shows?
No,
Haven't.
I haven't. I mean, I've seen clips, prostitution whore, where she like shakes the table, and then the other girl's like, "The only thing fake on me is this," and she pulls off her fake leg and throws it at the girl.
Fake leg? Oh
She had a prosthetic leg, yeah.
my god, those housewives, crazy.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's been a long week, you know.
Oh, I know. It's been too long.
It's been a long week. Anyway, we are recording. You probably knew that.
I did. I knew already.
Listen, I make it kind of obvious, don't I? I can't fool you anymore.
No, I mean, we've been doing this for what? How many episodes do we have?
That we're going on like 70 soon, I think.
Yeah, we've been at this game for too long. Over a year.
Too long. We should retire.
No, 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 no. We have to make it big first, then we can retire.
Okay, fine. Well, let's make it big first with this episode. This is the episode where we get big. This is gonna be it. Anyway,
I can guarantee you this is not the episode where that happens, but I love optimism.
okay. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the What Do the Gays Think podcast. I am, of course, Matt Klubeck, as always, and today with me I have my moist oyster, Pat. How you doing, Pat?
Oh God. I'll just tell you I had a very long week. The week is finally over, and my body barely made it.
Yeah,
It's barely made
I
it out.
also had a very long week, but probably for a different like set of reasons compared to your long week.
Yeah, what did you do?
I was preparing for a presentation the whole week, basically,
Oh, right. Yes, yes, yes. I forgot.
for an undisclosed thing that I will not talk about. But yeah,
Yeah,
there's a presentation.
it's your OnlyFans. You don't have to
My
lie.
OnlyFans presentation. Yes.
You're doing some market research. You're seeing if people would want to buy into it, things like that.
Listen, if I was hot, I would probably do
Oh,
it.
okay. Oh
I
my
would probably do
God.
it if I was hot, but I'm not. I'm not. So.
I wasn't saying "oh my God" because of you wanting to do it. The whole self-deprecation that you're not hot, we're not into that today.
Oh, we're not. What are we
No.
into today?
Today is all about optimism, good vibes, and just getting through this day. I mean, come on now.
I mean, come on. I mean, here you are with your hood up. You look like you're very cozy.
Yeah, for anyone who's watching on YouTube, which I recommend because you get the full experience. But
Do
if you
get
listen
the
on the
reason.
podcast app, go for it. I have my hood up. I've got messy hair. I've got last night's makeup still on. Um,
I can't even tell, really.
yeah, I mean it wore off a lot, but like the foundation is still on. And you know, my back. Can we just talk about my back?
Did you break it? Did you
I
get it
don't know
blown
what I
out?
did last night. No, I didn't get blown out. I went to an EDM music show concert thing. And we were just standing and vibing and dancing, and I guess I really hurt my back. So I woke up this morning, and it was just the entire thing, not just like my lower back or upper back, the entire back, top to bottom, left to right,
Oh
is
my
just
god.
toit and sore.
Well, maybe that means you got a real nice workout. I don't know.
I mean, if tomorrow I wake up with like 8 back muscles protruding out, like all chiseled, then yeah,
Protruding.
I'll be happy about it. But I think I'm just weak. I think I'm just like
Okay.
dead.
You're okay. Well, if your spine starts to like, protrude from your body, I don't know, maybe you're turning into a lizard. I don't know.
Oh my God. Speaking of, last night I did compare myself to a lizard
Uh, what do you
because
mean?
okay, oh, here we go. I have like really cold hands for some reason.
Oh, yeah, because you're a zombie, obviously.
Mitch McConnell, eat your heart out. Um, and I was making the joke that like I'm like a lizard who can't self-regulate the heat, so it needs like the sun and a hot rock to lay on to help regulate the heat. And then
Right.
when I was under the covers trying to sleep, I became too hot and I became a furnace. So I was like, I really am a lizard person. I can't regulate my own body temperature.
Well, you were, inebriated to an extent, so that could have also played into it, the fact.
Yeah, probably. But I'd also like to. I'd also wouldn't mind being a lizard though.
Okay. What kind of lizard?
You
I'm feeling
know,
like chameleon, you know?
I like a chameleon. I like an iguana. I love a Komodo dragon.
Oh, Komodo dragons are fun. Yeah,
Komodo
yeah.
dragons have all that bacteria in their mouth, so when they bite their prey, they let them wander off, and the bacteria infects them. They die, and then the Komodo dragon can smell it, and it just wanders back to the body.
Um, I'm glad I have never encountered a Komodo dragon in my life. I'm glad.
Well, they're only like they're oh, I think they're only indigenous to like one or two places, and it's not the United States. But yeah, their mouth is riddled with bacteria because they're not really like fighters. They just kind of bite the prey, infect them, kill them with the infection, and then they wander off, find the body. It's soup's on. It's dinner time.
Nature is incredible. It is.
You're incredible.
Oh my God.
First topic is the Batman.
Yes, I figured you would talk about this. Tell me about. Wait,
I
wait, but don't spoil it for me because I
I'm not
may want to
going.
see it.
I know. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone yet. In 2 weeks or a month, then I'll go into my deep dive. But
Okay, okay.
I saw it twice, and you know what? I see movies multiple times all the time.
Yeah.
So like, I'm just crazy like that. I loved it. It's long. It's like almost 3 hours long, but I
Hmm.
loved it. I loved it.
I love that.
Um, I don't know if it's better than The Dark Knight because that is genuinely considered the best live action Batman film. I don't know. But it is probably tied for different reasons, obviously, because they are two very different films. What I will say, without spoiling too much, is that the characterization of all the characters is lit.
Hmm.
How Gotham City looks is lit.
Hmm.
And Paul Dano, the actor who plays the Riddler, because that's the villain in the film,
Not the Joker.
plays no, not the Joker, just the Riddler. Plays the most realistic Batman villain in a live action film.
Hmm.
Like one you could actually see in real life happening.
Oh, I love those types of villains. The ones that
Yeah.
maybe the ones that not can't exist in real life, but the ones that you could totally empathize like with how they got there. Like I
I
feel those.
mean, I without giving away his story, I was watching it and I was like, "Oh, a lot of this is kind of cogent with some of the current events that are happening
Oh.
over the last few years." So if anyone wants to see it, I mean, I think it's hard to watch that movie and not think to yourself, "Oh, like I've seen his ideology in real life."
Oh, I see. I see.
And it is wild and it's beautifully shot. It's beautiful. Robert Pattinson plays a really good Batman,
Hmm.
and I'm wet for a sequel.
So is this like a reboot of Batman? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, so it's not related to the most recent Batman played by Ben Affleck in like the Batman v Superman film and the Justice League film. So this is a different Batman. It's in his year two, so his second year as Batman in his universe, basically. So it's probably just a separate universe they're working in.
Oh, do you think this will be like the main universe from now on?
I don't know. I mean, Warner Brothers, who owns the rights to produce DC films and shit, they have never had the same sort of interconnectivity that the MCU has
Right.
in terms of like they don't have a Kevin Feige who's like making this overarching plan for how the movies and shows should play
Is
out.
that how his name is pronounced? Feige?
It's either Kevin Feige or Feige?
I always read it in my head as Phage.
Oh,
Like with like the JG, you
you know
know?
what? Who would know? John, probably.
We'll ask him later. We'll see. How do you
Yeah.
pronounce this?
So I think I don't think this they're gonna I don't think Matt Reeves, who wrote and directed the Batman film, is like trying to work towards, a Justice League film. I think he really just wants to work with all the Batman properties in Gotham City. So, and I think
Hmm.
that's lit. I think that's lit.
You're lit.
I'm seeing it again on Saturday.
Again for a third time.
Yeah, I'm seeing it with my dad and
You
my sibling.
you are a bit crazy like that.
Well,
I've only seen like if I see movies, right? The max that I'll probably see a movie is twice, and the only reason I'd watch it the second time is if I wanted to go back, knowing the ending, wanting to go back and rewatching to see like how the characters are acting, to see if I could like see what the
mhm.
indicators were that would point to that ending, and I like doing that. But after that, I probably wouldn't see a movie again until much later.
Yet you'll watch like a series like Avatar multiple times.
Well, yeah, but I'll space those out. Like
Right.
I will probably watch Avatar again, yes, but it'll be in
Oh, of
like
course.
2 years, 2, 3 years. I'll do that. Yeah,
Yeah. That's like a refresher.
yeah. But Avatar is also like my favorite show, so like in
Oh,
existence.
wow. That's such a high praise. Damn.
I mean it. It's such a good show. It really like Aang and Korra, like both of them combined, the entire thing. Yeah, definitely my favorite series.
Wow. Work.
You definitely seem like you've had a long week.
I listen, I don't know what to tell you. I had a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but I am feeling the wrong side of 20. Like I'm almost 30, in that I'm turning 28 soon and I'm not ready. I think my body is signaling to me you have to now slow down because you can't behave like this anymore.
Okay, listen, like, yeah, we are encroaching on that territory, but like, there's still a good, 2 years before we're
I
there.
guess I guess I have to make the most of it and really just pop my bussy as many times as possible
Listen,
because
age is just a number. Once you get to 30, you can continue to pop your pussy.
I know, but then it's all like loose and dry because you're old and it's so hard to pop
It
it.
doesn't become loose and dry in an instant. You turn to 30 and your pussy's
And you basically
dry as a desert.
prolapse. You basically
In an
prolapse.
instant, the second you turn to 30, it just happens immediately.
Did you see that tweet I retweeted that was like guys on Grindr will be like, I'm shy, and then send you an unsolicited photo of their prolapsed anus.
No, I did not see that retweet. No.
Well, I mean, it's true. So, what do you have to talk about?
So I was going to the hot topic right now in the political space is the
Uh,
Ukraine-Russia conflict,
yeah.
which we did talk about very briefly, I think, in one of the previous episodes. But that was also before the invasion occurred, like when we actually talked about it.
Yeah.
So I figured like I could talk about it a little bit. But I don't know because what I have written here, I looked at because what I wanted to talk about was yes, the invasion is occurring, but I wanted to talk about like the events that led up to it and like
Yeah.
what happened along the way, which I have like plenty of notes talking about that, but it could take a while. So if there's anything else you wanted to talk about, I'll let you go first.
Let me think. Let's see. I saw the Batman twice. I
Yeah.
went to an EDM show. Um, I mean, oh God, the only thing I think about is more like of the Don't Say Gay bill, which
Mm.
is still happening, unfortunately. And then, of course, oh, right, the whole Disney aspect that apparently Disney
Mm.
supports groups and people who support the Don't Say Gay bill, and people started to kind of protest Disney, call them out, and then Disney put out a statement kind of acknowledging the call out, but then not saying whether or not they would stop supporting these proponents of the Don't Say Gay bill. And I
Mm.
just think that's exactly what was going to happen. I did not expect Disney to take a stand because if they did, it would implicitly state that Disney is pro gay. And I think a lot of people who consume Disney content may not be pro gay.
That is true, but also I didn't read the statement. So like what exactly did they say?
Here, let me pull it up. Um, God,
Cody just burst
Dis.
into my room like, "Hello, I'm
Oh,
here."
how are his worms?
Well, that's a topic I want to talk about. Okay. Let's finish off this Disney statement thing
All
first.
right, hold on. A Disney statement on "Don't Say Gay." Uh,
I
Here
thought
we
he
go.
burst in here and then he walked back out. Like, thanks.
What? No, I'm not subscribing. Just tell me what they said.
Uh,
Okay, here we go.
I'm waiting.
Uh, ba, 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 ba. Okay. Walt Disney Company issued a statement of support for the LGBTQ plus community amid the backlash against Florida's Don't Say Gay bill supported by the state politicians. Blah blah. Blah. The company is still funding the homophobic politicians who've supported the bill. Um, where is the quote? Oh,
Yeah, like
okay.
what was the statement?
Okay. Statements. Oh, part of the statement was the biggest impact we can have in creating a more inclusive world is through the inspiring content we produce, the welcoming culture we create here, and that
What
diverse
content?
community organizations we support, including those representing the LGBTQ plus community.
What content includes gay? What? Okay.
We understand how important this issue is to our LGBTQ plus employees and many others. For nearly a century, Disney has been a unifying force that brings people together. We are determined that it remains a place where everyone is treated with dignity and respect. So basically, they were like, we support you through creating content that you have to pay us for. Like, you have to pay us for,
Yeah,
obviously.
but they
But we,
don't even create content that is that represents LGBTQ in any way.
oh, it's a drop in a bucket.
It's not even a drop in a bucket. It's a needle in a haystack. It's a star in the universe. Like what what's a really small thing in a really big scale?
My penis to
To my penis.
yes. Yes. I mean the only thing I can think of
I gotta
is
remember to clip that later. I can
yeah,
put that up as a clip.
my penis to your penis. The only thing I can think of is the one short that they have on Disney Plus. The one where the guy comes out to his family. It's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, it's like the one thing. And then they have a couple of like random inserts of gay characters that are like they're on the screen for like 2 seconds. They're like, oh yeah, this person's gay, and then they never show up again.
I know, but I'm
Ugh.
not surprised by their statement at all. So let's talk about Russia.
Okay, let's do it. So clearly it happened. The last time we talked about this, it hadn't happened yet. But yeah, Russia has invaded Ukraine. The invasion is currently going on. How do you feel about it
Yeah.
right now?
I mean, not great. I saw that Russia had shelled near a nuclear power plant and that it was like on fire.
Oh
And
yeah.
Ukraine was like, "Can you stop? Because if you keep doing this, it might cause like a really bad, I guess, nuclear meltdown or whatever the scientific term would be."
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I don't like that."
No.
And then of course you see, I mean, because I follow this one artist whose family is currently, or at least was in Ukraine, so he's always posting about it. So I just see clips and videos of like destroyed buildings or like injured people, or like that one video of the person driving their car and then a Russian tank drives over the car
Mm,
and the people trying to get that person out of like a pancaked vehicle. So I'm not happy about it
no, and I
whatsoever.
think most people are definitely not happy, except for some. Like, there's a weird like faction of conservatives, which is definitely not the majority of conservatives, but there's a weird faction of conservatives who are like all about Russia and Putin doing this. It's a
Yeah,
little bit weird.
it is. I mean, isn't Trump is one of them. I mean, he's always praising Putin
Oh,
and Kim Jong Un. It's really bad.
I Trump is praising Putin, but I think he has also come out and like obviously said like Putin is bad for doing this, which
I don't. I mean, sure, but I don't know if I actually believe what he says. Actually, I
oh
never
yeah.
believe what he
I mean,
says.
take with a grain of salt whatever they say because it's just, PR at that point. A lot of these people have had to come out and say like obviously what Putin is doing is bad. Like Tucker Carlson had to do that too because he also praised Putin and then had to like go back and say like, "Oh, well obviously Russia is not Russia. Putin is bad." I don't want to say Russia is bad because the people of Russia are not bad.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
government is obviously bad.
Tucker Carlson is just like a stain on the news networks that we just can't get rid of. Like he's so abrasive and idiotic and bloated and just like
Bloated.
loaded with lies and bullshit. And I just want him gone.
Oh, I also want him gone. But yeah, it's very sad. And you know what a lot of people have been saying that I've been seeing on TikTok and like social media and such?
Mm.
It's like how everyone is so, and as they should be, everyone is so anti this war, right? And like anti
Yeah.
killing these civilians. But then people are also rightfully calling out the fact that people don't care as much, it seems, about the same thing happening in Middle Eastern countries. Mostly
Yeah.
our fault, like the US's fault.
Hmm.
And I think that is a rightful call out because like the media coverage on this is very different than what's going on in the Middle East.
Yeah, and I think I was talking to Kelly about it, how if this had happened, which it might actually happen with China invading Taiwan,
Mm-mm.
it
Yep.
would not get as much media coverage, and we both agreed it's probably due to the fact that Russians and Ukrainians are kind of white, and Middle Eastern people and Asian people are obviously not white.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I do think that there would be a sort of racial component to it, and that also brings to mind the whole thing with Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping, is that his name? The president of China,
Right.
um, being so like open to still do business with Putin. And I'm just
Mm,
like, oh, you two are
yeah.
so
And
nasty.
there was that whole thing where China was basically like, "Hey, can you not invade Ukraine until after the Olympics?" Did you hear about that?
No, what?
Apparently the Chinese president or the Chinese government spoke with Putin and they basically said like, "Hey, we know you're going to invade Ukraine, but like can you do it after the Olympics?"
Oh my God. Yeah, if you're gonna do it, can you wait till after, we put on this big spectacle? Thank you.
And I was just
Oh
like,
my,
"Oh, okay." And China is continuing business with them. So there's a lot going on. Um
yeah.
a lot going on right now. Do I think that if China invaded Taiwan, I think it would get a decent amount of media coverage. The reason I think that is because I feel like our perception, or like the general public's perception of the Middle East, is that it's just always going to be war torn and
Oh
destabilized.
yeah.
And I think that, China and Taiwan are generally considered by the public to not be like, war torn, etc. So if that were to happen, I do think it would get maybe not as much media coverage as the white people are getting, but it will still get media coverage.
I mean, I guess we'll find out because I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen.
Oh, is that in addition to our 2022 predictions?
I mean, I don't want it to be because that's just upsetting. But I mean, there's always been tension between them, especially in recent years. The flyovers that China will do, or naval ships and shit in like nearby in that ocean, whatever that ocean is called. So I think there's a real possibility. There's a
And you know
real
what? If they
possibility.
were gonna do it, now would be the perfect time because while everyone's distracted with Ukraine,
Mm.
like if China just slips in and takes Taiwan, like is anyone gonna notice?
Slipping in through the back door.
Slipping it right in. Anyway, so I do have back to Ukraine and Russia. I
Yeah.
have a timeline of events that has led up to this point. And I feel like we can
Mm.
talk about that because obviously the invasion is still happening. And we could probably talk about that all day. But I'll talk about what we know from history and the
Oh.
past and how we got
Oh.
here.
Lit.
Um, so I'll start from literally August
The birth of
24th,
Jesus
the
Christ.
birth of Jesus. No. August 24th, 1991. Ukraine declares independence from the Soviet Union. And then the Soviet Union dissolves later that year. Um,
Work.
I'm also following an NPR article, which I will put in the link of the description and all like the videos and the podcast episode description. So that if anyone wants to look at this article that I'm referencing, you can go ahead and do that.
Work.
In 1994, December 1994, there's a big treaty signed. It's called the Budapest Memorandum. Did you hear about this?
No, I don't know anything about this, so this will be good for me.
Okay, so the Budapest Memorandum in December 1994. It's a treaty between Ukraine, Russia, the UK, and the US. Ukraine basically says, "I will give away all of my nukes," because
Oh, okay.
when the Soviet Union dissolved, Ukraine actually had a bunch of the nukes. So they said they would give it away, but only if the US and the UK and Russia all respect Ukraine's independence and like its current borders.
Hmm.
So obviously, right now, Russia is breaking that treaty. Uh,
Yes. Well, do you know who signed it? Who was the president of Russia or the leader of Russia at the time?
oh, I don't know who the leader of Russia was. It wasn't Putin. Putin wasn't there yet, right? I have no idea, actually.
What year was it? What year was it?
1994.
because Putin served twice, but I think Gorbachev was before that though, right? Russian leader, 1994. It'd be so funny if it was Putin, but
It
I don't
was
think it is.
Putin back then as well.
No, it's Boris Yeltsin. Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Well,
Whoever he is.
yeah, he does. I don't feel like he's that important because I don't know who he is at all. But yeah, they all signed this treaty. Obviously, Russia is breaking this treaty because they are not acknowledging anymore Ukraine's sovereignty as an independent nation. Great. During like the 2000s period, the Ukrainian government kind of like wavered between being pro-West and pro-Russia. There was a pretty tense election in 2004. So there was an election, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce these names. There was an election between a pro-democracy candidate and a pro-Russia candidate. Now, during the election season, the pro-democracy candidate was poisoned.
Oh, cool.
Yes. There's a lot of conspiracies going around, and then the pro-Russia leader wins the election.
Okay.
But then there are like protests and outcry, people claiming that it was a rigged election, which it totally could have been. But then they had another election, and then the pro-democracy candidate actually won.
Not poisoned.
Not well. He was poisoned, but he lived. I don't know if I mentioned that. The poisoned person lived.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. And was he the same one that ran again?
Yeah, he ran in this election and won. So he actually became the president.
Work.
So this whole thing was called the Orange Revolution, with all these protests and the outcry and everything.
Interesting.
Ending with the pro-democracy leader. Again, I'm not going to try to pronounce this person's name. He wins the election. And then in 2008, this pro-democracy president tries to bring Ukraine into NATO. Do you know what NATO is?
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of. I mean, I don't know what it stands for, but I have an idea.
You know what? I don't know what it stands for too, but the whole point of NATO is it's like an alliance of, the US and some other European nations and some other countries from around the world that basically says if someone declares war on that country, then everyone joins in to defend that country.
Right.
So if Ukraine were to join NATO and Russia declared war on Ukraine, then every other country would have to declare war on Russia.
Yeah.
So clearly Russia doesn't want that.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But yeah, in 2008, that president tries to bring Ukraine into NATO. George W. Bush was supportive, but certain other countries were not. Ultimately, they didn't join NATO. Then in 2010, that same pro-Russian leader that lost in 2004, he's then elected as the president.
Ugh.
Yep. So in 2010, we now have a pro-Russia leader in Ukraine. And he basically says that he's going to try to remain, like Ukraine should be neutral between the West and Russia, but he's very clearly pro-Russia. And then during that administration, they throw in jail the prime minister of the previous administration.
Just in case. Just be safe.
Well, they claimed that she, I think it was for abuse of power. They claimed she had an abuse of power thing. But basically, they threw her in prison.
Right.
Not good. I'm going to skip forward to 2013 now. There's a agreement that they try to sign to bring Ukraine into the EU. But the pro-Russian president refuses to do that.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah. Then there's more protests calling for him to resign. And then in February 2014, there's violence between the police and the protesters that kill a lot of people, like 100 people.
Oh, work.
Yeah.
Work.
Not great. The government then tries to impeach the president.
Right.
The president flees to Russia. Then they do impeach him while he's in Russia.
Interesting.
Yeah. They impeach him unanimously, and they have like an interim government. And the interim government wants to join the EU, and they free that prime minister from prison.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. So that she's safe now. Well, I don't know about this very moment.
Yeah, she could be dead. Who knows?
But she was freed from prison by the new administration. Then Russia steps in, and they say this ousting of the president was an illegal coup. Russia then invades Ukraine. I don't know if you knew this, but in 2014 they did invade Ukraine.
Okay, so like, why did they have any grounds for why they thought it was illegal?
um, you know what? I don't know.
Because like, I don't, yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I don't know, but like, that would be if something in that original treaty was like, hey, you can't overthrow your own government, then I'd understand. But if it was just them doing their own thing, and Ukraine's its own like sovereign nation, I don't know why Russia got hard and thought they had some sort of grounds to invade. But whatever.
Well, I mean, I could tell you the reason I actually think that they did, and it's because they
Oh,
ousted the pro-Russia leader.
well,
Um,
yeah, but like, it's weird that that's enough, and no one else stepped. I'm assuming no one else stepped in to help Ukraine.
oh no, I mean all the nations did the same thing that they did right now, which is they put sanctions on Russia.
Right.
Um, but yeah, Russia annexes the Crimean Peninsula. Um,
Yeah.
that joins Russia, and then there's two Ukrainian like eastern territories, Donbas and Luhansk. I don't know if I'm pronouncing them right.
Yeah,
Um,
and they install people there, right? Russia
yeah, they
does.
like Russia. They like take over. They're not technically part of Russia, but they declare independence from Ukraine.
Yeah.
And there has been violence in those territories since 2014 to present. So
And
that
yeah, Putin was president then too, so wow.
yes, and a lot of people died in those territories from 2014 to
Oh,
today.
cool, cool.
Yep. So going on from there, obviously Trump became president.
Ugh.
Yeah, there was war in that region. Russia did a whole bunch of cyber attacks on Ukraine. One of them caused a big blackout one time in 2016. 2019, Zelensky is elected president, the current president.
Right. The one that everyone thinks is hot.
He, but is he though? I
No,
kind
I
of he
think
kind of
everyone
is a little bit, but
I think it's a mixture of the whole dad bod thing and the fact that he's standing up to Putin.
I mean, I've told you this before. A man with a good personality is hot to me.
I mean, yeah, but I think instead of gassing him up as this beautiful man, why can't we just help him?
Um, uh, that is a good question.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I think it's a very we're walking kind of like on a tightrope or whatever, or it's a very thin line to walk. Being that we obviously don't want to start war with Russia. So how much help can we provide to Ukraine without Russia going, all out?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's like
Aye, aye.
the thin line that Biden is walking currently. So
Yeah.
I find it very interesting. But anyway, Zelensky's elected. Then we had that whole thing. Do you remember where Trump tried to make a deal with Zelensky, saying like, "Hey, if you investigate the Bidens, um,
Oh, right, yeah.
or sorry, he said, if you don't investigate the Bidens, then I'm going to withhold my military aid from Ukraine."
Right.
And then Trump was impeached for that. Remember, that was the whole first impeachment.
Right,
Hi,
right, right.
Cody again. Thank you for busting in here once again and opening my
Bust it
door.
open.
Bust it open. That whole thing happened. Um, I mean, after a while there, I mean, Trump basically briefly blocks U.S. military aid. And then after that whole thing ramps up, Biden's obviously elected president here. And then, things worsen. Russia puts troops on the border. For a whole year, they're like, building their presence on that border. And then obviously we're at the present, where Russia
Yeah.
is currently invading Ukraine. One thing I wanted to address, because this is a big right wing talking point that I've heard multiple times. People
Mm.
are saying, like, why didn't Russia invade Ukraine during Trump? And, and is it because Putin thinks that Biden is weak and therefore he can do this now as opposed to Trump, who he would have seen as strong? What do you think about that?
I I think it would have been the same sort of response whether he had invaded during Trump's presidency or now. Like it would have been I mean, Trump probably would have like I think boasted more in terms of, trying to be intimidating towards Putin, but I don't think he would have like done more than Biden is doing now. Actually, I think it probably would have been worse in that maybe he wouldn't even put sanctions on him. I
Hmm.
think Trump would have been like, whatever, honestly. Like,
Whatever.
yeah, like I don't know whether or not he would have done more. I think he actually might have done less. But I don't know if maybe Biden is a bit more pragmatic, but if we had previously put sanctions on them during the last invasion, like yeah, it was just gonna happen the same way this time. But apparently it's not working.
Well, yeah, I think these sanctions are worse than the ones that happened last time. But yeah, I mean, how much pressure can we put on Russia without Russia going crazy? I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, what I do know is this, and it's like, it is the reason that Putin invaded Ukraine because Biden is weak. No, like obviously that's not the reason.
I don't think it is.
I think the situation in Ukraine has been much more complex. Obviously, reading all of this and going through like the timeline, situation there is very complex.
Hmm.
Um, during the 2015 during Trump's presidency, like Ukraine's public sentiment definitely shifted away from Russia. After all, Russia annexes Crimea. All the cyber attacks, the Ukrainian people just like are trying to distance themselves from Russia, and then
Yeah.
eventually Putin has just had it and just wants to reclaim it. So
I mean, yeah.
I
I
don't think
think
it I don't think it has anything to do with who's in power in the U.S. Honestly.
not I think. Do you think that because Russia put out that or Putin put out that statement saying like if anyone, you know, gets involved in our invasion of Ukraine, like they'll face consequences like they've never faced before.
Hmm.
So you think that means like nuclear bombs being dropped on people, or what do we? Do you think that whatever it would ever come to that? Because I don't know.
Um, uh, I mean, I don't like a thinking about that, and b fear mongering about it. Do I think that Russia could potentially try to nuke if it came to that? Maybe. Um, we would likely be able to defend against most of them, but it's not
Yeah,
like some of them might get through, which would suck,
yeah,
obviously, because then a lot of people would die.
yeah. I'd probably die.
You are pretty close to New York.
Yeah, if they launched like a really, I think I saw like some, I don't know, picture online of like the radius if they launched like one of the more powerful ones on New York. And I think I might not make it.
Well, let me say, the two or the three biggest nukes, like Russia can't launch those because I think two of them are in museums
Oh,
and like one of them is literally like decommissioned. So I don't think Russia can launch any of those biggest three uh, nukes. They can
right.
launch the other ones though. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean those will still do some damage. Yeah.
Yeah, but do I think that's gonna come to that? No, but would I put it past Putin if we corner him and he goes crazy? I wouldn't put him past that either.
No, he's kind of insane. I don't pretend to think that anything is off the table for him.
No, no,
No.
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 Anyway, that's what I had on this whole debacle. Have you learned something?
Yeah, I didn't realize, I mean I didn't remember that Ukraine had been previously invaded
Yep,
by Russia.
in 2014.
Yeah, I mean hopefully it ends up like that. I mean, in that it eventually ends, but I think as of right now, Zelensky's just putting out all these videos of like basically saying the same thing. Like, I don't want your words, I don't want your support if it doesn't come with actual dividends like ammunition, soldiers, aid. And I think he's absolutely correct. Like, it's kind of tragic to see that this person, this country is like begging people for help and no one wants to help. I mean, yeah, I know the sanctions are great and all, but they haven't
Mm,
stopped the invasion. And it's just really it's just really tragic.
it is because nobody wants to. I don't want to say nobody wants to like cross that line with Russia, but like that's kind of what it is though, because obviously they have nukes and everyone else has
Yeah.
nukes, and like if shit hits the fan, it could very easily be the end of the world.
Yeah, but I think at a certain point, the rest of the world, or not, I shouldn't say the rest of the world, the rest of like, the global community, the larger countries need to like ask themselves like, are we okay with this other large country just doing whatever they want? Like, especially to another country that has its own independence and sovereignty. Because if they do it to Ukraine, then there's no stopping them from doing it to other nearby countries. Because if Russia was doing shit to its own citizens, yeah, that's pretty awful. And they do, imprison their own citizens, and especially like the LGBTQ plus community there is always shit on or abused or killed.
Yeah.
But it is, that country operating in its own borders. Once it leaves its borders, though, it's just like, when do you, at what point do you go, oh, okay, that's too much. Like, we need to now step in.
Yeah, I mean, and the question is like how bloodthirsty, not how bloodthirsty, but like how much of a conqueror do we think Putin is trying to be? Like, is he trying to reclaim all of the previous territories of the Soviet Union, or is it just Ukraine? And I think he wants the entire Soviet Union back.
Yeah,
But
I would
some
I
of
would
those
think that.
nations are in NATO now.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, beyond that, what other reason does he have for invading Ukraine? Like, the real reason, not like the whole, oh, him gaslighting the world saying Ukraine was like building up its armed forces
Oh,
activity
right.
by the border. Not that. I'm talking about like his personal reason for wanting Ukraine. Like, does he need like some, money? Does he need money? Does he need land? What is the actual reason? It's probably just the fact that he wants to return Russia to its like glory heydays.
I think that is what it is. Like, I
And it's
think
awful.
Putin is like, he wants to restore the Soviet Union to what it previously was, or he wants to restore Russia and the Soviet Union all together into one, because
Yeah.
he believes that Ukraine and all those other nations do belong to Russia.
And it's fucking like that type of personality is too chaotic, problematic to go unchecked in the global community.
Such a white man thing to think that he owns everything and that he has the
Yeah.
right to everything that he does not.
Yeah. I think I like I said before, the same thing with China and Taiwan. Like, at a certain point, can't people just be happy with what they have? Like, why can't China and Russia just be happy with the fucking huge countries they already operate?
mm,
Aren't they the two biggest countries like on the planet?
um Probably. I think
I mean,
China might have that, but
Canada's pretty large, but I think China and Russia are pretty damn huge.
they
So like,
are. They are.
even if they're not the biggest, they're huge. Just be happy with what you have. God damn.
Oh my god. Well, everyone's got their dicks and they want to make them bigger. So,
Take some Viagra. Watch some porn. Like, ugh.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, let's do a would you could you should you and then we can sign out. How about
All
that?
right, you got one?
Yeah, I got one.
All right, what is it?
All right. We're gonna date Little Nas X again. You ready?
I'm always ready to date Lil Nas X.
You're dating Little Nas, right? It's going well. You're dating him for like a week, maybe 2 weeks. You notice something strange though after the first couple of dates that you have with him.
Mm,
He's always wearing gloves, like always. You can never
okay.
tell why.
Okay.
Um, uh, when you first go to the bedroom with him for the very first time, after a couple
Mm.
weeks, because he wants to take it a
He's a,
little slow.
yeah, he's a classy man.
Yeah, yeah. He's still wearing the gloves, and when you're doing fun stuff and those gloves are on, it doesn't feel as great.
As intimate.
Yeah, it's not as intimate. So you ask him to take the gloves off, and he's like, "No, I don't want to take them off."
Oh,
And
Jesus
you're
Christ.
and you're like, "But babe, come on, it would feel so much better with bare hands."
Oh, God. Okay, okay.
And he goes, "All right, all right." He takes off his gloves and he shows you. His hands are like blue, deep blue and purple.
Is this a Mitch McConnell thing?
Then he tells you, "Yeah, babe, I need to tell you, I am literally a zombie."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he tells you that he actually died, 2 years ago, but he's been living as a zombie for the last 2 years. Do you stay with
Interesting.
him?
Okay, well, here's the thing. Is he gonna eat me?
No, he's not gonna eat you.
Is he gonna like continue to rot? Because that's really like that's
I mean, it's been 2 years since he died, and the only visible notion of
raise
this
his
is his
hand.
hands.
You know what? I probably would.
Okay.
Because like, oh, okay. Have you ever seen when you're done watching The Good Place? There's a show on Netflix called Santa Clarita Diet,
Oh
and
my god.
it's an amazing show, and it didn't get renewed for like a fourth season or whatever. I think it only has three seasons. It's an absolutely hilarious, amazing show about Drew Barrymore plays a woman, like a realtor,
Yeah.
who becomes a zombie. And she has to basically keep feeding to maintain how she looks, or she'll slowly rot and like pieces start to fall off of her. And it's about how she handles it with her family, her husband and her daughter. And I think this I would be the husband to Drew Barrymore at that point. I would stay with him.
Oh my god, it's basically the plot of that show. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, well, you should watch it at some point. It is so fucking funny.
I've seen the
And
first 2 episodes, but I haven't watched further than that.
it's so wholesome because the husband is so understanding and just like wants to help his wife like get human parts to eat.
Doesn't the wife like lose all sense of emotion or something like that too? Or I don't know. I don't know.
Uh,
I only watched the first 2 episodes.
I know that when she feeds on human beings, she gets like heightened senses of emotion and heightened
Oh,
like she gets like she's high off of it. I know that.
okay. So you would stay with a zombie Little Nas?
Oh yeah, yeah. Why not?
Okay. All right.
All right.
Do you have one?
Yeah, yeah. Let me just finalize the idea in my head.
Okay.
Um. So, oh God, maybe I shouldn't do that. That sounds a little not good. Okay. So you're dating Little Nas X, right?
Right.
And you've been dating for like a year now. No, no, you've been dating for like
Okay.
3 years now.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and you're kind of dropping hints that you want him to propose to you.
Right. Okay.
You know, you're showing him like wedding bands that you like. You're talking about, what you want to do for like a honeymoon, and he's into it, but he's like not getting the hint that you just want him to get on one knee and ask you the question.
Just do it. Just pop the question.
Yeah, and then, at a certain point, you're at dinner one night, candlelit dinner, roses. He set it up, and you think it's the moment, but dinner ends and nothing happens. So you confront him, and you're like, Monty,
Monty.
Monty, I really thought this was going to be the night that propose to me. And he goes, "Oh, babe. Oh, yeah. I know. I just, I want to get it perfect. I want to get it right." And you don't take that as an answer. You're like, "No, no. What's up with this? We've been dating for a while now. Why don't you just want to do it? Like, I know you want to, but you never pop." He's like, "Okay,
Okay.
let me tell you why."
Oh no. What could this possibly be?
And then he takes you to one of his back rooms and he opens up a door.
Oh no.
And there on the wall are just picture frames of all of these marriage certificates. And he's like, "Well, I will marry you, but you just have to be okay with this." He clicks a button, the wall moves, and he has in cryogenic storage all of his previous husbands and wives.
What?
And you're
What does
like,
that mean?
"Monty, how have you been married so many times? You're only like 20 something years old." And he's like, "Listen, I'm actually immortal.
Oh my
And these
god.
are all the people that I've been with, and I just want to hold on to them forever. So if you're okay with marrying me, just know that at one point you will be in my vault of husbands and wives."
Do I get to live my like full life, or
Yeah,
does
you
he put
get
me
to,
in there like
I don't know,
after a
you get
couple
to live.
years?
Yeah, the bodies you see in there are like old bodies. You get to live.
Okay.
Yeah, until you die, and then he just freezes you and keeps you. So, do you still marry him, even though you know at the end of the day you're gonna be in his vault, like in a freezer, just chilling?
Yeah, that's fine. That's okay.
Okay. Yeah. I
It's
don't know if I would.
it's fine. You don't think you would?
Well, it's like, what is he doing with all those bodies? Is he just
He's
going up to
you
the.
just told me he's
I know,
memorializing
but
them. And he
like,
just wants to remember them.
what is he doing? Just going in there and like jacking off or something. I don't
That's
know.
not what you said. If you
I
told
don't
me
know.
that he goes in there and he jacks off to them occasionally, then I don't know. That's a different story.
Well, he does. Now what are you gonna do?
I don't. I don't think I would do
Hmm.
that. No.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something about not returning to the earth that I don't like.
What? Not returning to the earth?
Yeah, because their bodies will never decompose.
Oh no, I don't care about that. You
Oh,
can keep
well,
my body. And then what if one day, Little Nas is immortal, right? What if
yeah.
one day they figure out a way to bring all of us back?
Oh, then you'll be polygamous.
That'll be a pretty yeah. I mean, it'll be a lot of old people and young Little Nas.
Like, oh, Monty, it's good to see you again. My teeth fell out. Hold on, let me go
Oh
find
my
them.
God, that's the dream right there. That's the dream.
Well, we did it again.
And we did it anyway. Thanks everybody for listening and watching to this episode of the What to the Gays Thing podcast. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, where you can get updates on all of our content and stuff. That's at WDTGT podcast. Do you like games?
Yes.
We stream on Twitch at What Do the Gamers Think? That's GAYMERS. Our current schedule is we stream on Mondays and Thursdays.
Yes.
If you want to show your support for the podcast, we have merch on our Redbubble page. The link is in the description. And lastly, we have a community Discord, which is named
We
Pride
do.
Empire. If you'd like to join and hang out with us outside of podcast episodes or outside of our streams, that link is in the description as well. So once again, thanks everybody, and I am Mac Lubeck.
And I'm frozen in Little Nas's closet, Patrick.
Great.
Great.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.